One of the most expensive costs in growing and scaling a business is skill acquisition. That's the time, money, energy required to train new staff members when hiring and building their team. So if you're a career-driven woman wanting to reach 6 or 7 figures in corporate, or you have your own business and you're wanting to grow and scale that business, this video is for you because I'm going to teach you my top 3 principles that you need to focus on when hiring. And if you're applying for a job, they're really important because you want to be speaking to those, knowing those 3 secrets that the person who's hiring you is looking for. And when you know those 3 things, then you'll be able to communicate and articulate your worth with power, and you'll be able to ask for more and reach your income goals earlier. For any of you who don't know, I'm Jasmine Ashton-Leigh, and I have overcome a lot of illness, disease in the body, fear, self-doubt, and a lot of trauma from my childhood to be able to break through, heal myself, start, grow, and scale multiple businesses. And now my mission is to build 7-figure businesses and help other women to do the same. So in this training, we're going to look at the momentum cycle of success for job application and hiring. Now, if you're anything like me and you've had a lot of trauma in the past, that leads to limiting beliefs, self-doubt, lack of confidence, and negative emotions. And if you are struggling with those things, it limits your ability to communicate your worth effectively and even believe that you have any value in the first spot. I know for me in the past, before I started my company, I used to just be so afraid that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, and capable to be able to help people and grow a business. And now, over 10 years of helping women worldwide, helping thousands of women heal and master their own emotions and belief systems and upgrade the software system in their mind, I've been able to help them reach huge levels of success. So if you look at this chart in front of us, we always go to work on the identity first, and that is your emotions, beliefs, and energy, because you are only going to be able to attract an energetic match for what you believe and what you feel within yourself first. And after working with thousands of women over the past decade, I've found that the 3 biggest blocks to success are fear, unresolved trauma, and also just the right strategy. So today we're speaking to the strategy piece, but if you are questioning any of this and we go through this process and you're like, I don't know if I've got the skills, or I don't know if I'm good enough to ask for that money that I want, it's not your fault. It's probably just that you haven't updated the system in your mind. And that's really important because if you imagine your mind is like a computer between the age of 0 and 7, the questioning faculty in your brain hasn't developed yet. So anything that's in your environment that you hear from your parents or that you observe, you become it. And a lot of us haven't done that work to install a new system, update the software of your mind so that you can own your worth, your confidence, and articulate your value with power. And also, when I say confidence, what I mean is articulating your value in a way that separates you from the competition, because when you can do that, you can ask for more. So if you're having trouble with any of that, reach out and I can help you with that. But today's session is all about the strategy. So if you're an employee looking to ask for more and land your dream job, you want to be speaking to these 3 principles here. Now, when we go into the details here, I am directing this for women who are applying for jobs, but if you are growing a business and you're hiring people, these are also the 3 things that you want to look at, because when you minimize skill acquisition and when you hire for long-term success, these are the 3 things that you're going to look at so that you can ultimately save money in your hiring process and have that employee retention, which is so important because companies spend so much money on trying to replace and retrain new people. And if you've got a business and you've had staff leave, you understand the pain of this and how much it really can cost you, because all of a sudden someone leaves and you haven't done that work initially in those early stages to understand these 3 principles that are going to have your employees stay on long term. So if you are an employer and you're looking to hire people, you really want to watch this video and just reframe it in your mind from your perspective so that you can hire with total power and have your employees stay on for a long period of time so that you can ultimately increase the success of your business long term. So like you can see on the chart, we've got identity first, which is basically your emotions, beliefs, and energy. And that's what we work on in my group program. And if you've got that mastered, then the strategy that you want to really look for is the next step here. You really want to be looking at these 3 principles so that you can stand out from the competition and get yourself to the top of that list. So when we look at this chart, the first 3 things that we're looking at here is qualification, your skill history, and the length of service with another employer. So first of all, you're looking at qualification. So the employer that's going to hire you, they're looking for someone that has previous qualifications, that has skill. Because if you remember back to what I said at the start of this video, skill acquisition is the most expensive cost for a company. So when they hire someone, they want to know that that person has the skills, because that's going to mean less investment in training them. I mean, a good employer should train you anyway and help set you up with a good onboarding system and give you that support. But the more that you can express your qualifications and your skills in one area and do that in a way that's very empowering, they're going to want to hire you and you're going to stand out. The key piece inside of that is you may need some more skills. And what this comes down to is hard work. If someone's trying to get rich quickly, then they're not going to be able to create long-term success. So you want to be really clear about the skills that you provide, and you want to make sure that that's a perfect fit for the role. And take the time to invest in skill development if you haven't got those skills. And remember, which we're going to get to shortly, that volume equals skill equals outcome. So the more that you do something, the more volume and reps that you put out, just like going to the gym and building muscle, the more skill you'll get. And the more skills you get, the stronger the outcome and results you'll be able to produce. Now, if we look here at the second pillar, skill history. Now you might say, oh, well, I'm applying for a job that I don't have skills in, or that I can't prove that history. But the other way that you can do that is experience. So you explain that in any way. Experience you've had in a previous job, experience you've had in learning skills, any kind of job experience. And if you don't have any of that, you can always speak to results that you're going to produce or results that you have produced in the past, and also just testimonials and referrals. So the more testimonials that even a business, for instance, shows, the more that people perceive value in it, and the more they believe that you're going to be able to produce a result. And so hiring is exactly the same way. The more that you can show that proof, show some testimonials, referrals, the more that the employer is going to believe that you can produce those results. Now, the third pillar that you're looking at here is the length of service with another employer. And why is that important for them? Because when someone's hiring, again, we go back to that most expensive cost for a company is skill acquisition. So if you think about that, they want to know that they're hiring someone who's going to be on long term. I know that I was speaking to a business advisor who helped grow companies all over the world for most of his life. And he said one of those companies had people that had been working there for 3 generations. And if you think about it, the longer that someone's been there, the less time that's required to train that person, because they know their stuff and they know what to do. And so that's going to cost the company less time and money in helping that person and knowing that they are a gun at what they do. Now, what's really important here if you're considering a new job is thinking about this into the future as well. So this isn't just about, if you're applying for a job, showing that you're willing to stay on long term. You need to think about this into the future and an investment in what you're doing in your career path. So when I say here passion and aligned values, when you're considering going into a new position, you want to think that the longer that I'm in this position, the better that's going to look for jobs that I have in the future. And the key to this is being passionate about what you do. And I've watched many of the most successful people in the world speaking about this. And one thing they all have in common is their passion and their drive. And so you think about it, whatever you choose in your life, there's going to be hurdles, there's going to be challenges. And so you want to have a passion that's so deep that nothing stops you, and you can stay in a position for a long period of time. And also then here we look at it being aligned with your values. So one thing that I see a lot of women who are moving from job to job or struggling in positions they're already in is that it doesn't align with their core values of, say, for instance, growth and contribution. And a lot of women go into positions and they're in there for a long time, but then they kind of hit a limit of what's possible for them in that company in terms of their ability to grow and expand. So if growth and contribution is something that you value, you want to make sure that the job that you choose has opportunities and possibilities for you long term in the future. And then if you have the passion and you are aligned with the values of the company that you're applying for, you're going to be more likely to stay there long term and create that success and fulfillment for both you and the employer. So it basically is going to give that long-term success. And then if you look at all of these categories here, and this moves on back to up here, the identity. So if you think about it, all of these areas here, if you master them, tell me, what are your emotions and beliefs and energy going to be like? Now, this might not make sense to you straight away, but if you think about it, you go into a job, you get the qualification, you build and invest in your skills, and you focus on delayed gratification rather than just a quick fix of money. And you're in it for the long term, and you keep doing the volume, the reps, your skills develop, and then you start producing more results and more success, and it's aligned with your passion and values, you are going to feel amazing, and your belief about yourself and your energy and your emotions is going to expand. So that's why we call this the momentum cycle, because the more the results, the more the passion, the more it's aligned, and the more skills you're developing as you go, the more certainty and confidence and great emotions and energy that you're going to have, which is what I've got here, your identity. The more that you're going to believe in yourself, and the more that you're going to know you're a total boss. So that's why we call it the momentum cycle of success. Look, if you are in a negative momentum, this can go the other way too. If you have self-doubt, fear, and a low energy, then when we use the example of relationships, if we have two people in a relationship and they're both really high energy and they both love each other and themselves and they have a lot of confidence, that relationship's going to be amazing. They're both going to be high. But what if we have two people in a relationship? One's really high emotions, great beliefs, and great energy, but the other one's low. We're going to have a bit of an average relationship, and there's going to be a bit of conflict. But what about if we have two people with low emotions, average shitty beliefs, and low energy? We're going to have a pretty bad relationship, right? And this is exactly the same in business. That's why in my work, people come to me saying, I want to grow in business, I want to make more money. And I always say that we need to work on your identity first. We need to upgrade the software system of your mind and give you an SOP to run your life by, and release any unresolved trauma and fear from the past, so that you can own your worth and step into this where you're owning your qualifications, you're owning your skills, and you are choosing a path that's in alignment with your passion and your values, which is going to mean that you're going to be there for a long time and create that long-term success. Now, when you think about writing your cover letter and putting together your resume, you want to be speaking to these three things. You want to have a list of your qualifications, you want to have a list of your skill history, and you want to be showing evidence of the length of service with another employer. And if you don't have that, you want to be sharing your passion and your aligned values and your commitment to stay on long term. Now, another side note when we look at this third level here, the first thing that you want to understand is that if you're, say, for instance, looking for this length of service because it's going to save the company money, then you don't want to be saying things on your resume like, oh, I had this sabbatical or this time off, because your employer is going to think that you're not going to stay on long term with them. Maybe that you'll just stop and leave and go on a holiday or whatever. So if you're having time off, or if you've been away to have a baby or anything like that, you just want to be pre-framing and framing that in a way that is going to speak to this principle. So for instance, you could just say, I took a year off to learn this skill. I did this study. I did this training because I wanted to immerse myself and develop my skills in this area so I'd be ready for the job. So you want to just frame things in a way that speaks to all of these areas. And that's really going to help them see that you're committed, you're passionate, you're aligned, and you want to stay on long term, that you have testimonials, if not the skill history, that you can share so that they can perceive that your skills are going to be of value to them. Inside of this skill and qualification, the other thing that I recommend is speaking to the results that you're going to produce for them. A lot of people get a bit lost in the fluff with this, when the number one thing that you want to be able to understand and articulate is that you know the result they're wanting, you know the mission of their company, and you're speaking to that. Because a lot of people that do win in business are offering something that is directly speaking to the result. So for instance, if I was looking for a job in sales, I want to be speaking directly to my close rate and the results that that's going to provide for the employer. So that's the success loop. I also want to share with you the filters of which to think through in terms of the 3 identities that every successful business has. So if you look at this picture here, we have the artist, the leader, and the entrepreneur. Now, the artist is the one, say for instance, I'm that person in my business that creates the content, who's all about being with the clients. And usually if you are to ask them questions, they're going to want to be in the business doing all of the things at once, right? Thinking we're the only crazy ones to think that we can do it all on our own. And yet often the problem is that they become burnt out because they're trying to do everything, and then they start to become resentful because they're not actually getting to do what they are best at. Now, we also need a leader and a manager in the business to help guide and pull the team along. A leader will often be all about the systems and managing people, and they'll be driving growth, and it will be very systemized and organized. Then we look at the third role, which is the entrepreneur, and they're all of the ones that will take the risks. They're thinking about growing the company, taking risks to make that profit, to grow and to often sell and build that company up. They're all about the growth. And so when you think about it, to grow a successful business, all 3 of these are required. And often the problem is that someone in business will want to hire another one of themselves because they agree and they feel like they're very similar to that person. And they won't want to hear what, say for instance, if I am an artist, but if I was to be in a room and doing business growth with a leader and an entrepreneur, what they have to say might be the opposite to what I might think, because the leader wants to pull the team along and have the systems in place, and it's all very organized, and the entrepreneur's wanting to take maybe bigger risks than I would, but that's also required for the growth. And the thing is, if you've got 2 people that are the same in business, you're not going to see success. And so people usually stop and get in conflict about that, or don't have the growth that they want because they're either not wanting to hear what the other people have got to say and not hiring those other types of people, or they're just stuck trying to with their own problem. Like there's problems if you only have a leader and a manager on their own, or you only have an entrepreneur on their own. So all 3 are required to create that success. Now, the reason why I share this is because if you're applying for a job and you understand this, you can really speak to that with your employer that you're speaking to, and they're going to be impressed that you know this. You're pointing out, I am an artist, like I will do this creation for you, or I am a leader. Are you an artist? Because then I can help guide the team along and set systems in place, SOPs. They're going to help you systemize the business so that we can grow and scale. And of course, an entrepreneur is going to love that kind of conversation because they want to be all about the growth. So if maybe you're an entrepreneur coming to a business and they need that new voice, they need that new input, and they need that push to be able to take the required risks to grow the company. So that's why you can see when you speak to these 3 roles and you know which one you are and you know which one they are, if you're filling a spot like that, it's going to make sense to them and they're going to give you brownie points for knowing this stuff. And it really just helps give you that underlying philosophy of how to communicate your worth in a way that's going to serve them so that you can ask for more. Now, back to this page here. If you are feeling like this is all too much and you're stuck in undervaluing yourself and under-earning, and you don't understand human psychology and you don't have the effective communication skills, then you're not going to be able to communicate your gifts and reach your full potential and fulfillment and success. So that's why we do it in this order. And if you are struggling with any unresolved trauma from the past, any fear, or you're just struggling with self-doubt and low confidence, then reach out. We can book a 15-minute chat session and I can make some recommendations to help you with this, but this is what I've built my whole program on. But also, if you just want to know a little bit more about what we've talked about here, or you have any questions, please reach out or type in the comments below. I'm so happy to serve you and help you, and I can't wait to hear what you get from this video. So share in the comments what you got from this video, how this is going to help you, how you're going to communicate this, and let us know if you have any questions. I'll be sure to answer those for you. But reach out to book a 15-minute call if you want to know anything about any of these parts, or you're just wanting to grow and scale in a career. Reach out and we'll help you to communicate your value with total power so that you can earn more and reach your business goals as soon as possible. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next video.